I love that you said, earlier you mentioned it being a very Igbo book, and I love that you're really unapologetic about that cultural aspect. And why was it so important to you to make it a book that feels very Igbo and to incorporate that element of Igbo cosmology?
Well, because sadly, Nigeria is not where it should be. I mean, I don't want to harp on some of these things. Nigeria is disappointing for me, and because of that, a lot of us are leaving, really. There is an exodus happening now, and I think about it very frequently, and I'm just thinking to myself, okay, I myself, for instance, I now live in the US. I have a daughter, a child there, and I'm thinking to myself, well, this girl is born in the US. Even if I teach her to speak Igbo, it's the probability that she would return to Nigeria and live there is close to zero, really. And so there's and then you go back to the country itself, and even the people there, even of my dad's generation, we are forgetting many of our culture and our heritage. So I just felt like, well, in the Western tradition, you have most of these things documented. Look at, for instance, Hilary Mantel's books about Cromwell. Everybody knows the story of King Henry and all that. But it's a big deal anytime, the Tudors or, any of these things come out. So how do you create this kind of textual monuments that people will come to tomorrow, and if they want to read about how the Igbos saw the world, for instance, what did they believe in, what was their experience of so and so like, and I felt like a need to do that, and for instance, most people don't know this, but you could trace the socio-political structure of most of Igbo communities in pre-colonial times to the chief. So the most 85% of Igbo villages and towns did not have a monarchical structure. So what they had was an egalitarian system in which age was seen as approximate to wisdom. And so the oldest members of a particular kindred or clan were the ones who gathered together at the village council and made deliberations. That was how decisions were made. In fact, to some extent, the British had a hard time colonizing Igbo land because of that. Because, they would come in, get the cannon, go to the palace of the king, and the guy surrenders. But they come to a village, where is the palace? We don't have a palace here. Okay, so what do we do? So they would impose some kind of arbitrary monarch. You saw that in Things Fall Apart, for instance, the hated district commissioner was imposed by the British. And the reason for that was because the Igbos believed that if everybody has a chi, it means that we are all divine in some ways. So they dispensed with a kind of hierarchical structure, in society. And so it was very, very democratic. So democratic to the point whereby you could not make a speech. You can't just stand up in a group and speak up. You had to take permission, the Queno charge that you hear. So it's like, do you agree? Do you give me permission to speak? And if people were like, no, you cannot, you shouldn't speak, no discussion will happen. And that's something that is there, but you ask a typical person in Nigeria, and they probably don't know this. They will just tell you, well, this is non-civilized stuff or something like that. So I feel like it's my passion in some ways to recreate these things in fiction.
To kind of document and
yes.
celebrate these conditions
right.
that people are kind of slowly losing.
Right.
And if actually fascinating to hear about history, so thank you for that.